the imperative for a new world order on water sovereignty and sea access. Welcome to You Matter podcast. Today we're diving into something that sounds boring on paper, but is actually one of the biggest silent injustices on planet Earth in 2025. Water sovereignty. This is the second episode on the need for a new world order on water sovereignty. Imagine you're born in a country that controls the faucet for an entire region, but you're not allowed to turn it on. Because turning it on might annoy the guys downstream who happen to live next to the ocean. And then, when you want to sell anything to the rest of the world, you have to beg those same coastal neighbors for permission to drive your trucks through their land, and they can charge whatever they want or just say no. That's daily life for 44 landlocked countries, home to more than 500 million people. Countries like Ethiopia, Laos, Bolivia, Nepal, Uzbekistan, Paraguay, the list goes on. Today we're asking a simple question. Why does the current global rulebook on rivers and oceans punish the countries that need development the most and reward the ones that already have geographic privilege? And more importantly, can we fix it before the next big dam, the next big drought, or the next terrorist attack turns water into war? Stick with me. This one matters. Part 1. The old rules were written by the people with coasts. Let's start with the two big treaties everyone quotes when rivers or oceans get political. 1997, the UN Watercourses Convention. 1982, UNCLOS, the Law of the Sea. On paper, both are beautiful. Cooperation, equitable utilization, no significant harm, right of transit for landlocked states. In reality, they're like a contract where one side has all the lawyers. Here's the core asymmetry in one sentence. Upstream countries, very often landlocked, have hard legal duties. Downstream countries, very often coastal, have soft legal rights and hard geopolitical power. Take the Nile. Ethiopia sits on the highlands and provides 85% of the water that eventually reaches Egypt. But under the current reading of no significant harm, Ethiopia basically needs Egypt's permission to build a dam that would finally give power to half its population. Same story on the Mekong. Tiny landlocked Laos wants to become the battery of Southeast Asia by building hydropower dams. Vietnam and Cambodia scream about lost fish and sediment. Fair concerns. But when Laos asks for cheap, reliable transit to Vietnamese ports for its exports, the answer is, sure, pay whatever we feel like today. Article 125 says, landlocked states have the right of access to and from the sea without discrimination. In practice, that right is enforced by bilateral deals, meaning the coastal neighbor can treat it like a hotel minibar. Technically available, priced for pain. Result? Landlocked countries pay up to 50% higher trade costs than coastal ones. Their GDP grows 15 percentage points slower over decades. 3/4 of the world's lowest human development index countries have no coastline. That's not an accident of geography. That's an accident of treaties written in the 1980s and 90s by people who mostly lived next to the sea. Part 2. 3 stories that should infuriate you. Let me humanize this with 3 quick case studies from 2025. Story 1. Ethiopia and the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, the GERD, September 2025. Ethiopia finally starts generating serious power from a dam it paid for itself. October 2025, unusually heavy rains cause flooding downstream in Sudan. Egypt immediately blames the GERD's reservoir management, demands binding rules, and the EU starts whispering about aid cuts. Meanwhile, Ethiopia, the source of the river, still has 56% of its people with no electricity, and every single export has to roll through the port of Djibouti, costing Ethiopia $1.5 billion a year in fees. That's more than its entire health budget. Story 2. Laos on the Mekong. Laos has built or is building 11 big dams on the mainstream Mekong. The plan was to sell power to Thailand and Vietnam and lift millions out of poverty. Reality? They're drowning in Chinese debt, selling electricity below cost, displacing 62,000 of their own villagers, watching fish stocks collapse. And then Vietnam still slaps extra tariffs and delays on Lao trucks heading to port. Story 3. India, Pakistan, and the Indus Waters Treaty suspension. April 2025. After a terrorist attack in Pahalgam, India suspends the 1960 Indus Waters Treaty and stops sharing data. Pakistan says 80% of its agriculture is now at risk. Who gets hurt worst in the long run? Landlocked upstream neighbors in the broader basin, like Afghanistan, who weren't even party to the original treaty but now live in a region where water has become a national security weapon. These aren't isolated incidents. They're symptoms. Part 3. The triple chain that keeps landlocked nations poor. Economists have a phrase for this, the landlocked penalty, but it's actually a triple chain. River chain, you can't fully use the water you geographically control because of downstream vetoes. Transit chain, you can't get your goods to market cheaply because someone else owns the road or the port. Dependency chain, any political spat, any flood, any terrorist attack can be used to turn off your economic oxygen. Break any one of those links and you start growing like a normal country. The current system is designed to keep all three chains tight. Part 4. Okay, smart guy. What's the fix? I'm not here just to complain. There is a realistic path forward, and the timing has never been better. 2025 was actually a big year for landlocked nations. The third UN Conference on Landlocked Developing Countries in Turkmenistan. Same year, the new High Seas Treaty, BBNJ, enters into force with benefit sharing language everyone cheered for. The stars are aligning for what I'm calling a River Sea Equity Protocol, a new add-on agreement that finally links water duties to sea access rights. Here are 4 concrete doable pieces, mandatory reciprocity clauses. If an upstream landlocked country agrees to environmental flow releases or joint monitoring on a river, it automatically earns toll-free or capped fee transit through downstream coastal states for X years. Make it formulaic. No more begging. A strong landlocked nations caucus. There are already 32 landlocked developing countries in a formal UN group. Give them collective bargaining power the way OPEC has for oil. Benefit sharing funds. Take a slice of the revenue from upstream hydropower. GERD makes billions when it's full. And put it into a ring-fenced fund that builds or upgrades transit corridors, railways to Lamu in Kenya, or a proper dry port in Uganda. Enforcement that actually bites. Let landlocked states bring transit fee disputes straight to the WTO or a special chamber of the International Court of Justice with fast-track rules. Right now they have the right, but no remedy. And look, some of this is already happening in pieces. Ethiopia's deal with Somaliland for the port of Berbera, the African Continental Free Trade Area quietly cutting intra-African transit costs by 30%. We just need to scale it and make it binding. Closing, a choice in 2026. In 2026, the UN has a chance to convene a proper summit on River Sea equity. $50 billion from multilateral banks over 10 years could build the missing rail and port links. That's less than 1 year of global fossil fuel subsidies. We can keep the old order, where water and trade are weapons, and watch the next GERD crisis, the next Mekong food collapse, the next Indus standoff spiral into something uglier. Or we can decide that sovereignty over your rivers and guaranteed access to the sea are 2 sides of the same coin. and that no country should be punished for where geography put its borders. I know which future I want for the 500 million people living uphill and inland. If you found this episode infuriating, good. Share it. Tweet it. Send it to your foreign ministry friend. Because treaties only change when people who don't have coasts start making noise. This was the latest episode of You Matter podcast. Until next time, stay thirsty but fairly.